Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are definitely at a little bit of an odd angle. I am quite literally sitting on the floor and you are sitting on the floor with me because we're filming my February wrap up. So our studio room is a little bit of a mess right now, not because of fault of ours, but because we are renovating the bathroom and they've decided that our studio room is a great place to put all of the tools and such when the bathroom is being renovated. So we really can't move in there, let alone film in there. So this, right now, like it's sitting, my bingo board is sitting on top of, or taped to my TBR cart, so that's why we're sitting on the floor, because it's the only way that I could think of to have, or for you to be able to see this full thing. But the way, I've talked a little bit about my bingo board in my goals video, so if you haven't watched that yet, basically this is just my way of keeping up with my yearly goals, both bookish and non-bookish, and my way to regulate my book buying. Basically every time I get a bingo, I will be adding one book token, or I'm using my pin collection to kind of keep track of the books that are the points that I have earned. And I can get a bingo really any way that you can normally get a bingo except for Four Corners. I'm not including the Four Corners. Other rules, really my main rule for this is I can use multiple books for one prompt, but I can't use multiple prompts for one book. So for example, one of the books that I have in here could count for both series and ebook because I read it on my Kindle, but I'm only going to count it for one of those, if that makes sense. Just because I am trying to limit my book buying in 2023 so I can finally get my TBR down to under 100 books this year, which is my main goal. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. I do have quite a few books to talk about though, and I do want to go through, I'm going to go through everything that I have here on the board, both bookish and non-bookish. This is just the best way that I can think of to do it, to fully wrap up my year. So there are going to be some discussions here on non-bookish prompts, and I hope that's okay. So I do have these cute little Pokemon sticky notes. I had some Pikachu here, but for some reason those sticky notes didn't want to work. So this is what we're going to be using to mark off our bingos today, and I'm so excited. Let's get right into it, starting with the top corner here, nonfiction. So I actually did manage to read a nonfiction this month. I actually finished it relatively what is the word that I am looking for? I finished it not too long ago. That's what I'm trying to say. But I read The Fairy Tellers. This is by Nicholas Jubber. I think that's how you say it. But this is basically a nonfiction talking about the history of fairy tales and authors of fairy tales and how they've impacted society and fairy tales today. And it was super interesting. I thought it was, like I said, such an interesting read, and it's written in a way that it's very easy to follow. Definitely wasn't boring, which is normally, I'm really worried about certain nonfictions and being boring if they're not told in a specific way. Normally I can't follow along with them unless I'm listening to an audiobook or something, but this one I didn't have to listen to the audiobook for, and I very much enjoyed it the entire way through. I don't know if I am ever gonna repick this up or reread this. For now it's staying on my shelf, but we'll see in the future if this is the thing that stays or goes. The next one is a non-bookish prompt, but that was a self-care night, and we did have a self-care night. I had a self-care night that I'll talk about a little more later because I'm also applying it to another one of the non-reading prompts here, so yeah. The next one is a series, so I pulled this series out of my little chip mug in my January TBR, and that is Streams of Silver. This is the next book in the Legend of Driz series. This is book 5. Obviously I can't go into too much about what this one was about because it's major spoilers, and even if you don't plan on reading it, Benson, who is my fiance and my editor, is going to watch this video, so I can't spoil it too much. But this series follows Driz, and he is a dark elf that's trying to navigate not only how different he is from his people, but how he's seen in a certain light. And obviously, like, there's way more to go into it, but it's super interesting. And I will say this by far is my favorite of the series so far. It is making me want to just go through and completely binge the entire series, and that's pretty daunting considering there's 36 books, but I will say it is so worth it. I think this series does so much, so many good things that it's definitely one of those series that I think, even though it is a daunting series, like it can seem, it seems like it might be hard to get into. The books really aren't that long at all. They're not hard to follow. I definitely recommend this one especially. It was just, there were so many good moments that made me laugh out loud. I was telling Benson, I'm like, if this whole book was just our four main characters just fucking around, I would have been totally fine with that. But obviously there is more to it, and I think one of the things that I love about this series is that it shows just his struggles and a little bit of how he's perceived, and it definitely shows how he's discriminated against as an elf, or as a drow elf, really well. And you definitely see his internal monologue a lot, going through that in this book especially. So I would say definitely give this a try if you have not already. It is definitely a long series. There are still books being published, but definitely worth it. The next one is a video project. Now, I did not post a video project. This basically, I don't, if you didn't watch my goals video, this just means any like secret TBR video or like a vlog that I want to put up on my channel. That's what that means. I didn't post one, but I did film one, and that one I wanted it to be out in February anyway, so I'm gonna count it. For audiobook, I actually have 3 to talk about. I was like, I know I had more than one. I actually have 3 to talk about that I'm including for this space. This space. That's a space. First one is The Grimrose Girls. This follows our 4 main characters, or technically 3 main characters whose best friend just died, and one who is very new to this school. And they finally, like, they are slowly putting the pieces together and realizing that there's more to meets the eye than what happened with this accidental death. So they have to figure it out. So it does say it in the synopsis, but there is a little hint, a little aspect of fairy tales in here that I absolutely adored. So I went into this thinking that I wasn't gonna like it very much, or having very little expectations on it, because I had heard about this from a book talker that I follow. I saw the cover, thought it was really beautiful, and then I bought it, realized it was YA, got a little skeptical, but I really wanted to pick it up, so I picked up the audiobook, and I really wish I had read this physically, because I feel like I could have gained so much more from the story if I had read this physically. I'm still very excited that I had read it. I thought there were so many amazing plot twists, so many amazing turns, and it was just so interesting following along and discovering the different plot points and the different plot twists, and I cannot wait. The sequel actually just came out, I think it came out like towards the end of last year, pretty sure. And I'm so excited. I cannot wait to pick up the sequel, and I hope I get to very soon. The next one was a little bit on the other side. I didn't like this as much as I thought I was going to, but that is The Halloween Moon. So one of the Patreons that I am following is doing a challenge, a yearly challenge, where every month you have to pick books that have a certain color on the cover, and this month was orange, so I decided to just pick this up and you know, fit in a fun middle grade. This follows, what's her name, Esther, and she loves Halloween. She's always been obsessed with Halloween and trick-or-treating, and then her parents tell her that this will be her last year trick-or-treating, and she basically has to solve her last year trick-or-treating by solving some strange, or not solving, but by trying to cure a curse that has been put on her town. I really wanted to love this, and I know I'm not the target demographic for this book, obviously, but I still go in rating middle grades the exact same way, with the exact same expectations that I would with YA and adult. I don't rate my books on anything other than pure enjoyment. So with this one, I was very kind of very disappointed, because I thought I was just gonna get a fun, cute little Halloween middle grade, and really all that I got was this book trying to preach that it's okay to grow up. And obviously it is okay to grow up, like it's a part of life, but the way that it was saying this, or the way it was saying it, it was like Halloween isn't for grown-ups and you have to grow up right away at a certain point. Like, you can't hold on to little kid things and things like that. At least that's what I took away from the book. You can disagree with me if you want. No offense will be taken. The next one I probably gave about a 3-star. Again, it wasn't one of my favorites of all time, and I'm kind of really sad about it, but I feel like with these kind of stories, you go in pretty much knowing the story right away. But that is Daughters of Sparta. This it basically tells the story of Clytemnestra and Helen of Sparta and their different perspectives during the Trojan War. And like I said, you pretty much know what you're getting into is if you have read other books that are set in the Trojan War before. I don't feel like this really added anything other than we kind of get Helen's perspective while she's in Troy, after she's been taken with Paris and brought to Troy. Other than that, I don't feel like it really added very much. I don't feel like I really connected with the characters personally. I really liked Nestra's side. Helen's, on the other hand, while she does go through some tough times, I just found it very hard to relate or sympathize with her. Or I shouldn't say that. I definitely sympathize with her in certain aspects. I just didn't connect with her as much as I wanted to. The next one I included on here is not a bookish prompt, but it is a video game. One of my goals is to play a video game, or a different video game, every single month to finally get through some of my backlist video games. And actually this month I did not finish the game, but I'm still gonna count it because this is a game that I don't really want to finish all in one sitting. It's one that can get very tedious if you play it for long hours at a time, and it's one that's meant to kind of just give you a cozy vibes and chill vibes, and it's one that I don't want to rush through, so I didn't complete it, and I'm okay with that. But Benson got me lemon cake for Christmas, and this basically, you stumble into an abandoned bakery, and inside you meet the ghost of the old owner, and you have to try to help her rebuild the bakery. So you're baking pastries. It's like a very Diner Dash-esque game where you're baking pastries and waiting on tables and trying to gain different or earn enough money to get different upgrades. And I love it so much. I thought it was the most cozy vibes. The music is super chill, it's super fun, and I really enjoyed my time playing it, and will definitely be continuing on with the game. I just don't want to finish it all right away. My reread I technically have not finished, but I still have like 3 days left of the year, and I have no doubt that I'm going to finish it, and then it's going to be 5 stars once again. That is Eliza and Her Monsters. This follows Eliza, who is the creator of a very famous webcomic. Nobody really knows that she's the creator of this webcomic, and then one day she meets the most famous, or one of the most famous fanfiction writers of her comic, and she kind of has to keep it a secret from him while also kind of slowly falling in love with him. I love this book. so much. I've read it. This will be my third time reading it. I adore everything about this. I will say I think reading this on my third time as an adult, the writing is a little more juvenile than when I first went into it, but I think that's to be expected. Obviously, this is a YA contemporary book, but the way that it handles anxiety and being a content creator and feeling the pressure and anxieties about being a content creator is just so raw and so real. I adore everything about this and so much more. The next one is Bake, and I said I was going to talk about my self-care night. I know a lot of people wouldn't consider it a self-care night, but I'm counting it as a self-care night because it was just a good time to chill and relax with my friend and my sister, and we baked a cheesecake. And while the cheesecake didn't turn out exactly the way we wanted it to, which I was a little disappointed by, we made a chocolate cheesecake out of the Golden Girls recipe book that I have, but first of all, it took like an hour and a half to cook. We were very hungry and we just wanted chocolate, and we ate it warm, which we really shouldn't have done. Second of all, we did not use, the recipe called for way too little chocolate. There should have been more chocolate on it, but you know, things to look for next time. The next two I definitely did not complete. Like I said, I could have doubled up and put Streams of Silver for ebook, but I'm not going to do that. Can't make it too easy on myself. So I did not read another ebook besides Streams of Silver. And for this one, I definitely did not upload weekly. We're starting to get our shit together very, very soon, hopefully. This one here is Loved One Pick. I did not have anyone pick a book for me on my TBR. I didn't even think about it until after I filmed my TBR. So can't check that one off. Next one is Readathon. And while I did participate in, or I was trying to participate in 2 readathons, actually, wait, you know what? I actually can tick this one off. I completely forgot. Because I did, another one of the Patreons that I follow did a 48-hour readathon, and I actually finished a book during that. So there you go. I can check it off. Haha. Now with the free space, I can technically just use this as, this is free, I check it off right away, but for the months that I read things that don't necessarily fit into a certain category, this is where I'm gonna talk about those books. So for this space, I'm gonna talk about Spineless. This follows Algie. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. He has gone to Florida for the summer because his mom thinks it'll help with his asthma, according to his doctors. And he discovers with the 2 girls that actually live at this resort that the resort might be haunted, and they have to figure out what's going on and try to break the curse that is set to be upon this place. I thought this was the cutest, well, one of the cutest books that I have ever read. I read it all in one sitting. I stayed up way too late in the night finishing this book, and I'm so glad that I did. I wouldn't say it's the best book I've ever read, but I definitely wouldn't say it was the worst. I thought it was fun and funny, and definitely a really interesting mystery to try to solve along with these characters. And then I stole one of Benson's books and read Hooky. This is one that I've been wanting to read for quite some time. I know it is a webtoon, so I technically could read it online, but I like having the physical editions. So this follows 2 young witches who miss the school bus, and instead of going home and risking getting in trouble, they decide to kind of branch out on their own and figure out witchcraft for themselves. And oh my goodness, this was such an interesting read. I'm so glad that I read it this month. It was a lot darker than I expected as well. It has a lot of interesting commentary on not only growing up, but on discovering, I don't know if you heard that, but that was Benson. He's watching hockey right now. But it has a lot of interesting commentary on the way people will react to certain things about you the more you share about yourself, and how dangerous the world can be when you're a kid, or really in general, how dangerous the world can be about certain things, about how you express yourself in certain ways. And the way this ended on such a cliffhanger, I cannot wait to read the second book, which I think just came out towards the end of last year, which again, technically I could read this on webtoons. I like having the physical editions. I'm just so glad that I picked this up. This was not one that I was expecting to pick up this month. Like, it's actually really chunky for a graphic novel, but I loved this so much, could not recommend it enough. And then we have library, which I actually did read a book from my library, and I am so excited to say I finally read Voyage of the Frost Heart, or this is known as just Frost Heart in some places. I think they changed it to Voyage of the Frost Heart in the United States. But this follows Ash, who lives in a world where song weaving is considered dangerous, and you can pretty much be exiled for being I'm sorry, my foot's asleep. You can pretty much be exiled for being a song weaver. And one day, after a singing accident goes wrong and he's exiled from his village, he discovers that he meets these people called Pathfinders and decides to board on their sleigh and go with them to try to find his parents, which he has not seen in quite a long time, using this lullaby that they left him. This is such an amazing story, and I'm so mad that I had not read it before. First of all, there are these illustrations inside, which if I can find them, there are these illustrations inside on every page, which make it super easy and quick to get through. This is like a 400-page book. I got through it within a couple of days, and that's only because I had other stuff going on, like work and stuff. I could have finished this a lot quicker than I did. I adored Ash, and again, the commentary, I feel like I read a lot of books with really good commentary this month, but the commentary on being yourself and being unapologetically yourself and finding a place that you belong that won't judge you for being who you are and showcasing your talents. It's such a wonderful book, and I cannot wait to continue on with the series. Alright, this next one is Unhaul, which I've actually unhauled 3 this month, 2 of which I've already spoken about. I am unhauling The Halloween Moon, as well as Daughters of Sparta. I just don't think they have any place on my shelf anymore. I don't think I'm ever gonna reread them. As well as another book, which is in my January TBR. However, I'm not going to speak about it because I have learned that the author of said book is not a great person, and the actions of said author are not what I want reflected on my channel. I want this to be a safe space, a chill space, a good vibe space, and those are just not the type of books that I want to be showcasing on my channel. So I'm unhauling it, and I'm not going to talk about it. If you really want to know what it is, you can just go back and watch the TBR. I will say I am super bummed about it because it was one of my most anticipated books of the year. I was so excited to read it. Oh well. And then the next one we have is Buzzword, which this month's Buzzword was Life or Death, and for that I read The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. This follows Nina, whose life has always been super organized and well thought out, till the father that she never knew she had passes away, and she is kind of thrown into this family that she never knew existed, as well as finding out that her trivia rival may not be as much of an asshole as she thought. And so we kind of follow their love story. I will say, this is marketed as an adult romance. If you're going into this book thinking that it's a romance like me, you're gonna be a little disappointed because the romance kind of takes a back burner. I do really wish there was more of the romance in this, and that probably would have made my ranking or made my rating a lot higher, but alas, it is not. However, I did really enjoy this. We get to see Nina kind of spiraling a little bit, and as hard as it is to read, it is very important and very impactful. And I adored the characters. Nina, she wasn't always the best character. I felt like she was trying so hard to stick with these plans that clearly weren't written in the cards. And I just don't feel like I related to her very much. Obviously, I'm not a person that plans out everything in her life to a T, so I feel like that kind of hindered my connection to her. Otherwise, I did really enjoy this book, and I believe this is one that I included in my my books that'll self-destruct in 12 months video, but I am very happy to say this will be staying on my shelf, at least for now. This next one I am going to check off, even though we have not had one yet, because Monday is going to be our date day. So this is date night. But on Monday, we are going to be just hanging out together all day. We're going to be playing video games, having a video game date, possibly going to a movie, maybe grabbing food. It's going to be a nice day to spend together. Big book, I am not going to check off because I did not read anything over 400 pages. Adventure day, we definitely did. We had quite a few actually adventure days with our friends. We went out to grab dinner, hung out at the mall. We went to this new place, well, not a new place, but it's a new to us place that basically it has axe throwing, and we played pool, and they had a bunch of board games. So we went there for the first time. It was really fun. Classic, I did not read a classic this month. Chores, I'm also not going to cross out that one because even though my room is kind of clean right now, I didn't keep up with it as much as I wanted to. Book club, I am going to cross off actually because I read A History of Wild Places. Now, this was technically an unofficial book club. This is something that my sister and I read together. She's trying to get more into reading, which I'm super excited to share that journey with her. So we read this together. Basically, we open up with Travis Wren, and he's trying to find this woman that has gone missing. She's a very famous author, and she just up and went missing one day. And then on his quest to find her, he goes missing as well. Fast forward quite a few years later, and we are following 3 new characters, Theo, Calla, and Bee. And they live in this town called Pastoral, which is very isolated. Nobody leaves the town, nobody comes in, and it's because they believe there is a pandemic going on, where if you leave the town, you will get the sickness, and they can't risk bringing it into the small community that they have built. However, one day Theo discovers Travis's truck, and all hell breaks loose from there. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I don't know if you can hear him. Anyway, I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to. I thought this was super intriguing, and there were definitely a lot of twists that had me being like, oh my god, what the fuck? But there were also a lot of twists that I kind of saw coming. So if you're one of those people that like going into thrillers and mysteries, and like you don't really like being able to predict the plot, I'd say probably avoid this, but I really enjoyed it for what it was. And then we have fitness. I don't know if you can really see that, but that is fitness. I did not do fitness at all. I didn't work out once. Small book, which actually gives me my second bingo. Gives me my second bingo of the board, because basically small book is just really my excuse to read more manga or children's books, whatever I fit on my TBR for the month. But I read The Night Eaters. This is by the same authors as Monstrous, and basically we follow, I'm just gonna read like this tiny section of the excerpt. We follow these Chinese American twins named Millie and Billy. So it says here, when Ipo, who's their mother, forces them to help her clean up the house next door, a hellish and rundown ruin that was the scene of a grisly murder, the twins are in for a nasty surprise. A night of terror, gore, and supernatural mayhem reveals that there is much more to Ipo and her children than meets the eye. This was so dark and gruesome and gross and gritty, and I loved every second of it. There were so many times Benson was downstairs setting up his PC that we got him for his birthday. There were so many times that I just wanted to run downstairs and be like, what the hell is this? I'm so sorry, I'm swearing a lot more in this video than I usually do. But this was amazing. This was so dark and gritty, and I want more mangas, or more graphic novels like this. This made me want to go back. So I did read Monstrous. I read the first 2 volumes and I couldn't really get into it. I think I was like really confused about what was going on, and I didn't feel like that in this at all. But it's making me want to go back and revisit Monstrous and actually read through the entire series now. This one is, I believe, going to be a trilogy, and I'm very excited for it. I cannot wait for the next volume to come out, because this ended not really on a cliffhanger, but kind of a cliffhanger. It just made me want to read more, and I'm very excited to do so. The thing that I love about these authors especially is that they don't really spoon feed you the point of their story. So you kind of have to figure it out yourself. And I think that was kind of my issue with Monstrous, is I didn't really understand what was going on. But now that I've read more and have kind of consumed more books and graphic novels and manga and things like that, I feel like I can appreciate that a lot more. So I really want to revisit Monstrous. I'm gonna need to get more sticky notes. But the last one you definitely can't see there. It's in the bottom corner, but that's movies. And I am gonna check this off which gives me my 3rd and final bingo, because I watched Bullet Train, which isn't a new movie, but it's a new movie to me. I am that type of person that I will religiously watch the same movies that I've watched before again and again and again, because they make me happy and I know exactly what's gonna happen. I got a little bit of anxiety going into new things where I really think I'm not gonna like them, even if they end up being my new favorite, like obsession. Yeah, I just got that. So that's what this space is for new TV and movies, or new TV shows or new movies that I have to force myself to watch. But this month I watched Bullet Train. Benson has been bugging me to watch it ever since him and Fuse watched it or saw it in the movie theaters without me, very rudely. But I really enjoyed it. It's kind of hard to describe, but basically we're following Brad Pitt and a couple of other awesome, amazing actors, and he's on this job on this bullet train. What should be a quick job ends up being a lot more complicated than he thought he signed up for. I thought it was so action-packed and also really funny, and surprisingly also kind of heartbreaking at times. It had a little bit of everything, and it had some phenomenal actors in it. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. I know it's on Netflix in the US. I don't know about anywhere else, but definitely check it out if you haven't already. But with that being said, we actually started this month off with this year off with 3 bingos, which means I'm allowed to buy 3 books. However, so I already knew I was gonna get 3 bingos because I actually started filming this video yesterday. I actually filmed the whole thing yesterday, and then I was looking back on the video earlier or after I had filmed it, and I was like, you know, I'm not loving it. I'm not loving the way that it turned out. Not loving the vibes I was giving off. I refilmed this whole video today. I did know that I was going to get 3 bingos, 3 bingos, so I kind of have already used my points. Had a little bit of a rough day, found out some kind of bad news at work today. I'm gonna be very transparent. I applied for a specific position quite a few months ago, and I found out today that I did not get it. So I was a little bummed. So I decided to use the points that I had to buy the next couple of volumes in the Spy Family series. So I bought 3 and 4. I was given the volume 2 for Christmas, so now I can binge that series up until 4, which I'm very excited about. And then one of them I used because the series that I pulled out from my chip mug I don't own, so I decided just to pick up the next book from that. So I have already used all 3 of my points. So we're going into next month still on our book buying ban. But let me know if you like this video. Hit that like button if you did, and this is the way that I think that it's probably going to work for the rest of the year. If you have a better idea or any other suggestions on how I should do this, let me know down in the comments below. Until then, please subscribe if you want to see any more from me, as well as Benson, who's a frequent member on this channel. I will leave all of his links down in the description box below, as well as links to my social media if you want to get any more updates from me. Until then, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.